What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back. It is the new year, 2023, so happy new year. And I wanted to give you guys an EXO-6 recap of 2022. The pre-orders, what's still in stock, some teases as to what's to come, and just my overall unfiltered thoughts. It's the first time I've tried StreamYard and talking to myself, so let me know in the comments down below if you guys like the video in this style or if you like some of my other more preview style videos. This is a little bit longer format because I'm not editing myself entirely. So let me know in the comments down below. Hit the like button if you can, smash the subscribe if you're new to the channel, and let's get into it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. So today we are going to take a look at the 2022 recap of EXO-6's pre-orders as well as their in-stock availability. Now that may vary, of course, because with figures, as you guys know, you can get figures pretty much anywhere. EXO-6 has a tendency of having some immediate purchases available through their website, but then we've seen some figures just kind of blowing out of stock within about the first 3 hours of release. And we'll get to that and where you might be able to find them. But today I want to take a look at EXO-6's website with you guys and do a bit of a 2022 recap, because now, of course, it is the new year. Happy New Year, by the way, 2023. Thank you to everybody that's followed the Ben Thomas Show. It means a lot to me. It's hard to express that overall to you guys in words, but I definitely appreciate it. So let's take a look here. So today we've got the pre-order page opening up here on EXO-6. Now, there's been a couple pre-orders here, as you guys know, that I've been really excited about this year, and this is actually one of them. This is Quark from Deep Space Nine. Now, Deep Space Nine is probably my third favorite Star Trek franchise. It would go Star Trek The Next Generation, the original series with Kirk, and then Deep Space Nine. Fourth would be Voyager, but really close with Deep Space Nine. They kind of go hand in hand, in my opinion, in terms of my affection for them, at least. Quark is an awesome figure, though, from EXO-6, and even though he's coming in at a slightly higher pre-order price point of the $215 plus $25 shipping flat rate, I actually think that's still pretty good for this figure. He's very unique. It's not a sculpt that we're going to see copied. And I love the way that they've tailored the guy. I think his outfit looks bang on, real nice. And I'm really digging it. So this is one that I've got pre-ordered for myself for 2023. I'm really excited to see when that's going to come through. Pre-order end date did end on December 15th. Through EXO-6's website. Now you can still order this guy over at Sideshow, so that's good, and some other places as well, like Big Bad Toy Store, some other places. I don't sell for any of those, to be honest with you guys. I'm just letting you know where you can find them. Now, again, we're seeing here this is supposed to come out in the second quarter of 2023. So let's hope EXO-6 delivers on that. What else do we have pre-ordered from them right now? So, this is awesome. So, the Andorian commander, Shen. Now, I did a video on this guy on my channel because I wanted to give you guys a little bit of the history of who Shen actually is, how he fits into the Star Trek verse. So if you're interested in that, take a look at some of my Star Trek videos on the channel. It's definitely on there for you. But my thoughts quickly on this guy, he's pretty good. Pretty good. The antenna on the top of his head, they're a little bit too far forward in my opinion, based on what we've seen from him. But if you don't have a comparison photo to go against like what the actor looked like in makeup alongside the figure itself, I honestly think he's really good, and I like the coloration of the skin. The outfit concerns me a little bit. It does look like there's some pleather on there, and I'm not gonna lie, the pleather, it's one of those things that if you see it start to peel, it's just gonna be toast, right? I'm in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. It's pretty dry and pretty cold here, so luckily, you know, knock on wood, I haven't had any peeling issues yet, even with my original Bane figure, and even the Catwoman that I had originally that I sold, she never peeled either. So it's pretty good. This guy, a little bit of a concern, but we'll see. Now, he does come with a decent amount of accessories on this guy. I do think it's cool that they did match the wrist pegs here to make it have the blue wrist pegs that actually match the figure body itself. Let's see if I can get a bit better of a photo. Yeah, so here you can see the blue there actually matches pretty well. I'll give it to EXO-6 for that. One thing that I'm really hoping they start doing, and I've been asking Nanjin, who the developer through EXO-6, through some of my YouTube comments, as well as some of the comments he and I have had back and forth, please EXO-6 start releasing a few extra freaking wrist pegs with your figures. There's been a few friends of mine who have had Star Trek EXO-6 figures come in, wrist peg breaks, you're toast. What do? Send the figure back? And there's now some figures that are available that they're gone. Like, they're not even available. I shouldn't call it available. They've been sold and the molds have been destroyed. That's it. Nanjin has said he can't even replace his own figures. So how the heck are you supposed to get a wrist joint for a figure if something happens? Glue it on, I guess? Like, no, like, that's not right. EXO-6, you need to start giving us some extra wrist pegs. I think it would be really appreciated by the collector community for sure. But again, this is Thylax Shren, the Andorian. Now, I want to keep saying the Andalorian, which I think is part of the Mandalorian in my mind. So if I say that, I apologize. Definitely not trying to. Next on the docket here, we have Star Trek Voyager, Chakotay. Now, I was corrected recently because I said in one of my videos of Chakotay that Chakotay is not a very sexy character. I didn't mean his physical appearance, okay? What I actually meant was he's not a very interesting character in a lot of ways. The actor, Robert Bertrand, who played Chakotay, he actually pissed off the directors. So they slowly started to eliminate portions of his script, his character development, and kind of gutted him a little bit in terms of a character. Now, he did make a bit of a return in my opinion. He had a great romance with Seven of Nine, or Jerry Ryan's character, and I really liked that. And Chakotay himself, with some of the spiritual side of his journey, I thought was actually really well done. I can understand why, though, he's one of the least favorite characters for some people when it comes to Star Trek Voyager. Star Trek Voyager for me was a really nostalgic franchise. I used to watch that shit after school every day for years, and I loved it. And they had one of the best journeys, in my opinion. The fact that, you know, they're lost in the Delta Quadrant and they need to find a way home back to the Alpha Quadrant. I liked that feeling. And when you invest the time, if you're a Star Trek fan who maybe has never given Voyager a chance, I'd recommend it. I mean, they do have a lot of filler episodes, but I think the journey is worth the watch. And honestly, I teared up at the end. I did. I don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to give anything away, but 100% recommend watching it. In terms of Chakotay, I actually think this looks very much like Robert Bertrand. There's a little bit of a thing going on with his eyes, in my opinion, that kind of make him look a little cross-eyed, but I think that's hopefully just the lighting and not the figure itself. But this guy comes in at $175 plus $25 shipping, and his estimated delivery date is this month, January 2023. So that is very exciting. Who is next on our pre-order list? Oh, okay. So I'm really, really excited about Locutus of Borg, featured in the Next Generation. He was mostly featured in the last episode of Season 3 and the first episode of Season 4. That's the Best of Both Worlds and the Best of Both Worlds Part 2. And of course, Jean-Luc Picard, played by the very iconic Patrick Stewart, gets assimilated by the Borg, and the Borg Queen kind of makes him her pawn, I want to say, against humanity. You know, you assimilate the captain of the Enterprise, and all of a sudden you have access to all of his knowledge, all of his passcodes, all of his defense strategies, everything. I mean, it was a devastating episode for a couple of reasons. Not only because you think, man, the Borg are going to win 100%. Like, how do you stop this from, like, coming to fruition? But also getting to see the Star Trek Next Generation crew really struggle with the loss of their captain. Does, you know, Riker, number one, does he move into the captain's spot, or does he kind of reserve his space as the second officer for the time being, kind of in his mind's eye, while he tries to save his captain? It was some of the best episodes of Star Trek I've ever seen. And even if you're not a huge Star Trek fan, The Best of Both Worlds Part 1 and Part 2 I would 100% watch, because awesome. Now, the figure himself, I actually think this looks pretty good. There are two possible iterations of Locutus that we can see. One is from The Best of Both Worlds Part 1 and 2, which is what we're talking about, but also we did get a chance to see him in the First Contact film. Right at the beginning, Jean-Luc Picard is having a dream about his time assimilated as the Borg, and you get kind of a zoomed in image of him, and it actually looks different. The suit is upgraded and different from what we saw in the original television series. I think I like this one more, even though the First Contact film looks more upgraded, it's more visually kind of appealing in terms of a visual aesthetic. I think this is a better option, because to me this connotes that feeling of that nostalgia, right, for that Part 1 and Part 2 episode back in the original seasons. And I think the figure looks really good. Now, it doesn't come with a lot. It comes with an open hand and a closed fist, it looks like, for the hand side, and then of course his Borg implants, but still really, really cool. Let's take a better look here. Yeah, and I mean, of course, the LED function. Now, one thing that EXO-6 did for Australian customers is there is an option for Australian customers and one for not. Unfortunately, if I have any Australian customers listening, you probably know by now that you can't order the figures with the batteries. That's so shitty. I apologize. But on the other hand, I do think it's cool that EXO-6 did cater to that. For me, of course, I'm in Canada, so I'll be able to get the light up version, and he's going to be coming to my collection hopefully very soon. Now, this came in at a steep $245 plus $25 shipping, and we're hoping, of course, based on this website here anyways, that we're going to see him no later than March of 2023. Crossed fingers, really crossed fingers. So let's take a better look here at the next guy. Oh, I'm so excited, guys. I can't even tell you about Locutus of Borg. I could talk to myself about Star Trek all day, but I don't want to take up too much of your time today. So the next one we're going to take a look at is the Enterprise Captain, Jonathan Archer. Now, Jonathan Archer is one of my favorite characters in Star Trek. I love Scott Bakula. I think he's a fantastic actor. Quantum Leap is one of my favorite television shows of all time. And of course, Scott Bakula was the lead in Quantum Leap and of course the lead in Enterprise, a television show that for me didn't connect as well with me as a Star Trek fan as I would have hoped for. They did give you some really cool backstory in kind of how the Federation comes to fruition and how some of those alien relationships that we know so fondly, like Vulcans and Andorians and some of the others, kind of come to join Starfleet and how they play a key factor in kind of the development of the Federation. I thought that was all really well done, but there was a lot of parts of the show that I thought were, I want to say boring. Maybe I was just too young for it at the time, but I want to say that, but then I watched Next Generation when I was pretty young, so I don't think that's what it was. However, some people have said, give it another chance, watch it start to finish, and then see how you feel. And that is something I would need to do. I definitely watched it very broken up over the years, and I don't think I've given it a chance to go through it fully in one viewing. So that might be something I check out down the line. But this pre-order has ended through EXO-6's website. Again, you can get them through other places. I mentioned those earlier in the video. This guy came in at the $205 rate plus $25 shipping, and estimated delivery for him was December of 2022. Now, I'm not sure if I've seen anybody actually have this guy in hand yet, which is unfortunate. There was some controversy around the head sculpt for this guy because it does look pretty good, I will say. Like, you can tell who it is for sure. But Scott Bakula, apparently, based on Nanjin, rejected the original prototype image, which is a downfall. And I did a video on this guy in full, so you can take a look there if you want to see what the original pre-order image looked like, because I apologize, I don't have it available to you right now. The original was better. It looked way more, in my opinion, like Scott Bakula. It also had a more swooping hairstyle, which was featured in some of the earlier seasons of the show, but also could have been kit-bashed, in my opinion, into maybe an older Sam from Quantum Leap, which is another reason I would have considered buying this. But because I don't love Enterprise, because I don't love the head sculpt here, this is actually a pass for me. I passed on this pre-order, but I would love to hear from you guys in the comments down below if you guys got this guy. Are you excited for him, obviously, or have you received him already? And what are your thoughts on him once you get him in hand? Now, 7 of 9 is another one that is a bit controversial, I will say. Some people absolutely love 7 of 9 or Jerry Ryan, just in general. She's a beautiful person, let's be honest. But the figure is, I want to say, to be kind, a 6.5 or 7 out of 10. I've actually changed my stance on that. I think I might have originally said it was closer to an 8. The more I look at the head sculpt, the less I like it. And I think that's partially to do with how the hair is done. The styling is good. The sculpt of the hair is really good. There's just something about her that doesn't look finished. It doesn't look super premium. And they call these guys, you know, museum grade figures, right? Museum grade. It's close, but not something that I'm loving. Now, the downfall of 7 of 9 here is that the developers used a different style body, like a metallic body underneath, that apparently was extremely expensive to maintain pre-orders with. So what they've made apparently is all they're ever going to make, according to Nanjin. Apparently we're never going to see a 7 of 9 character again because she's too expensive to make. So as a FOMO bit of information, or fear of missing out, I of course originally locked in a pre-order for this one because I didn't want to miss out. I love 7 of 9 as a character. She's one of my favorite characters from Star Trek Voyager. And I love her storyline. I love, you know, how they made it so that when we get to meet her, you know, she's been a Borg almost her entire life. She doesn't know what it means to be human. She was raised by the Borg, essentially, because she was assimilated as a really young woman, like, I want to say 10 or maybe even younger. And so she doesn't remember her human side or her humanity, and she has to relearn that. And it was a really great character story. But I also like that we've now got a chance to see her in new television show Picard, even though Picard season 1 and 2 has been a little divisive with Star Trek fans for sure, and I can't honestly say that I've absolutely loved it. I did like seeing a return of 7 of 9, or Annika Hansen, Captain Hansen, I think now. So that's pretty cool. Now she came in at $225, or I should say, apologies, $220 at $225. Holy cow, can't speak anymore, guys. $220 plus $25 shipping, and her estimated delivery date was also December 2022, and we have not seen her yet, at least as far as I'm aware. So there's clearly some delays there with her production, which is unfortunate. She doesn't come with a ton of stuff either. Very basic. Her nano gauntlet hand, or assimilation hand, I think is kind of cool. And the rifle, of course, is cool. I do really like the suit. I think that's made really, really well. Of course, my stepdad would say she's in her notorious plum outfit. But she had a lot of really skin-tight outfits that were pretty classic to her as well. So it's too bad that this may be the only 7 of 9 we get a chance to see. Now, next on the pre-order list for EXO-6 is Captain Benjamin Cisco from Deep Space Nine. And again, I mentioned earlier, I do like Deep Space Nine. It's probably 3rd or 4th on my list, kind of a tie there. I do actually think this looks like the actor relatively well, to be honest. And I like that they gave the shot glass. I think that's just a nice addition. He comes with his baseball glove. There was also a couple of options for this figure, so there was a deluxe version as well as a standard version. The standard version doesn't come with some of these extra clothing bits. You know, Avery Brooks is an iconic actor, and I think they captured his likeness pretty well here. I'd give it an 8 or an 8.5. Originally, I was going to pre-order this guy, though, and I decided against it. I wanted to do a full captain's display, but the more EXO-6 releases, the more I realize that I have to be, honestly, even more strategic, because I'm going to want to collect mostly from Next Gen line, but I can't get them all. There's so many other figures that I want to from Hot Toys and some of the other companies like So Toys, that I can't get them all. So you got to be strategic, right? And as much as I think Benjamin Cisco is a badass character, he's not coming to my collection. What do you guys think? Have you guys got one in hand yet? I don't. Again, at this point, we're already into January. I don't know if I've seen anybody actually have this in hand. quite yet. So let me know in the comments down below. And I apologize, I meant to say, again, that came in at $215 plus $25 shipping and was expected for release here. And when does it say? I don't even see where it says. That is crazy. It says order stop. That's all it says. So this may be coming anytime if it hasn't already shown up in some of your collections around the world. Now let's get on to the next page here. So the other pre-orders that are coming, of course, and again, we talked a little bit about this already, the deluxe version versus the non-deluxe version. I'm not going to go open that page again, but of course we do have the Star Trek First Contact Enterprise E Captain's Chair. Now, I think this is a really cool accessory, let's be honest, right? I mean, who doesn't want a captain's chair to be able to sit their Picard into, or even their Janeway? I know that would be stretching it a little bit because it's not from her Enterprise, but it's clearly a Starfleet chair. So it's pretty cool, I will say. But what isn't cool is the price point. $195 plus $25 shipped feels aggressively expensive. Now, I get it, the molds for this are probably expensive, it's probably hard to produce, and it's hard for them to probably truly know how many orders are actually going to be made. But man, this is the cost of another figure at this point. And again, like I said a few minutes ago, with so many EXO-6 releases coming and so many planned, this is one I think I have to skip on, even though I've got the First Contact data, which I think would look pretty badass in the chair here as well. Now let's get on to in-stock figures. The in-stock figures, there's a couple of them here, so we're going to go through them relatively quickly because, again, I respect your time here in the new year, guys. But we've got Voyager Lieutenant Commander Tuvok first. Now, at first, I didn't love the way this figure looked. I thought the outfit did look a little bit baggy, and I honestly felt like the eyes looked a little bit crossed. But I've seen this figure in some people's collections now, and I gotta say, it has changed my mind. I really like this figure. Now, this is Tim Russ, is his name, the actor's name, playing Tuvok. And he was great in Star Trek Voyager, in my opinion. I think he was one of my favorite characters, mostly because he was a sounding board for the captain. But he also had some really great, really strong storylines, and I really like even what they did with his story in the final 2 episodes of Voyager, when we get a chance to see him older and debilitated. That's all I want to say, because I don't want to spoil too much. But basically, if it took them longer to get home than what it ends up taking them, what would have happened to Tuvok? He actually has a neurological condition that messes with his brain. And if they'd been able to get him back to Vulcan sooner, they would have been able to fix it. But because they were stuck in the Delta Quadrant for so long, it's a tragic story. They're not able to help him all that much, and he becomes, as I said, debilitated by his mental illness, which is really sad, and it's a great story beat. I thought it was really good. Now, the cool thing about Tim Russ as an actor is he's actually been in a couple of different Star Trek movies, as well as Voyager, but just playing different characters. So if you pay enough attention to the Star Trek franchise overall, you will see him pop up in the background a couple of times. So keep an eye out for that. Now, this guy came in at $198 plus $25 shipping. So as you can see, most of these costs are actually pretty standard. And again, he's currently in stock. It says there's a buy it now option. I think I might get this guy. Not today necessarily on the stream, but I might get this guy. He's even got his Live Long and Prosper hand, and if you're a true Star Trek fan, you need to be able to rock a Live Long and Prosper, like, no problem. I used to practice this as a kid, and so, just in case, if I was ever on a Star Trek stream, of course, right, down the line, I was able to do it for you guys. So, very cool. Gotta love it. Let's see what else is in stock. Oh, now this one. Damn. Does he look like Sulu? Or what? This has to be one of the strongest character likenesses or actor likenesses. George Takei, or Takei, depending, I guess, how you say it, from Star Trek, the original series. I think this looks so good. And of course, this is the Mirror Universe Sulu. So he's actually Chief of Security Lieutenant Sulu here in this version of himself. I think most of you are probably used to seeing him in his yellow outfit, or as like I want to call it more of like a mustardy yellow outfit. He obviously has the red outfit here, but from some of the most iconic scenes, in my opinion, of his from those Mirror Universe episodes, like I can just hear his voice looking at this character. I think that's really, really well done. And again, this is one I haven't pulled the trigger on yet, and I feel crazy for not doing it yet, because I feel like I don't want to say the word G or the Grail word very often, but in my opinion, once this guy is gone, he will be a sought-after figure in the future, just because his likeness to George is so strong, so well done, and reasonably priced. $198 plus $25 shipping. Again, not too bad. He pairs well with the next one we'll quickly talk about, which is, of course, the Mirror Universe Spock. So let's pull that guy up a little bit faster here. Let's see. Mirror Universe Spock. We're going out of order, but that's okay. Nobody's here to keep me in check. Yeah, so it's kind of funny to me. Whenever I think about an evil universe version of somebody, I think of them with a goatee. I think that this must have been what started that originally, as kind of that meme, right? If you're an evil person, you've probably got a goatee. Now, of course, I rock like a facial hair now, so I'm not the evil version of my previous self, I don't think. But this guy is badass. He looks great, in my opinion. The tailoring on the outfit is fantastic. The coloration of the suit is bang on. I've seen this in some folks' collections. I think Brendan Riley, I believe, shared a picture of his Spock in his collection, and it looked really, really freaking good. And of course, Leonard Nimoy has a very iconic face, right? A very iconic bone structure, and I think they did it pretty well here. I gotta say, I'm happy with this release. Is this one that's going to come to my collection? Maybe. Only if I get the Mirror Sulu, I would get them both. But again, I'm trying to stick to this next generation, character build in my own, little universe here in the living room. So I'm trying to avoid it, because I do have another Spock on order that I was able to get secured, and I'll tell you guys about that in a couple minutes. But this guy came in at $198 plus $25 shipping. It's still in stock as a buy now option on EXO-6's website, so if you have missed it somehow, and this is the first you are somehow hearing of it, I would definitely take a look. Now let's stick here in the Discovery line quickly. Now, Star Trek Discovery, definitely not one of my favorite shows. I liked season 3 and season 4 versions of these particular characters more. This is more from the season 1 and probably season 2, but I think mostly season 1 versions of these two characters. One being, of course, the Discovery Commander Sulu. Now, I think he looks phenomenal. EXO-6 is doing a really, really good job with their aliens, and I think for EXO-6, that's something that's got me just like wrapped around their finger. I can't wait to see Klingons and Romulans. We've seen a Ferengi and Quark. We've seen Saru. I can't remember what species he is specifically. I want to see Cardassians, not Kardashians, Cardassians, and and so many more characters, right? So many more. It's hard to even get them all like in my thoughts while I'm talking to myself here. But if they can do other alien species just as well as this, I will be very happy. Very, very happy as a Star Trek collector. And Saru here is very cool. Now, he's very tall, he is in the show as well, obviously, but I would just recommend, looking at your display. Based on the size of him, he's 13.75 inches tall. That may be difficult to fit in a DTOF, especially if you have him on a figure display base, so be careful about that. As you can see, he's got like risers in his boots, so you got to be just mindful of that anyways. But otherwise, this character is really well done. Really well done. Look at the face on this guy. Woo. Not something you'd want to wake up beside. And of course, for everybody who follows me, they know I am typically in bed when I'm looking at these figures. You hate to see it. Now, the next Star Trek Discovery line that is still available for immediate purchase, I'm surprised, I honestly thought she'd be gone by now because it does seem like it's been a while, is, of course, Michael Burnham. Now, I really like Michael Burnham in Season 3 and Season 4. I like her hairstyle better. I like the character portrayal more. She started to grow on me definitely in season 2, for sure, with some of the storyline there. I don't love this version of her, and to be honest, like when you compare this to the Sulu head sculpt, it looks unfinished to me. It just does, you know, and it's kind of unfortunate. Like, I know who it's supposed to be, but because I'm a Star Trek fan, I honestly think if you showed somebody this with a picture of the actress, it's just not great. It's just not great. Let's see here. I want to see Michael Burnham. Pull up some images of the actress. Yeah, I don't know, guys. Something seems real off there. I don't love that. So this is a figure that definitely is not coming to my collection, and honestly, because I don't love Discovery anyways, I wouldn't get the Sulu, even though I think the Sulu is really good. But this is still available for buy now if you are a completionist Star Trek collector. You can't miss out on Michael Burnham because, of course, she does play a pretty large role in Discovery itself. So something to consider. What else do we got here? Ooh, so this is an exciting one, and we're getting close to the end of the video here, guys. We got a couple more to go through. We've got Judge Q from Star Trek The Next Generation. Now, Judge Q, played by, sorry, it was on the tip of my tongue, John Delancey. I absolutely love him as an actor, and his portrayal of Q for some people is really annoying. I know my buddy Zach over at Collecting Weekly YouTube channel. If you don't follow them, go check out the Collecting Weekly YouTube channel. I know Zach hates this guy. Can't get past any episode that he's in. Q is in a lot of episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation, and he's not always wearing this gear if you don't already know, but this is in the first episode of the series, episode 1, season 1, and the last episode of season 7, I believe it is, where Q is an omnipotent being who puts humanity on trial. And of course, Jean-Luc Picard is able to come along and save the day with some excellent debating skills. One would call him a master debater, and of course, he saves the day. Now, not without some pretty crazy drama in that episode, and of course how it kind of loops around to the last episode. But I would definitely recommend watching this episode at least. It's the first episode of the very first season. It doesn't age as well as I might want it to be honest. Only because it's a pretty old show at this point. But it definitely gives you a taste on who this character is. And he does really well. Now, I canceled my pre-order for this guy. You hate to see it. Partially because of the tailoring. I didn't like how poofy the robes are. It's relatively accurate, don't get me wrong. But most of this episode, at least the first episode, he's sitting down in a really iconic looking chair. And EXO-6, at least as of right now, isn't making the chair. I can't find the chair made anywhere else by any kind of secondhand creators, or, commission creators, I should say. So if you're watching this and you've spotted a commissioned item on that chair, let me know in the comments below. I'm looking at you, Bob Dylan, if you're listening to this, because for me, I would not want Judge Q to just be standing there. He needs to be sitting all badass like in his chair. And he doesn't have one, doesn't come with it. So it was a pass for me. And I'm kind of hoping we're going to get another Q in the Star Trek The Next Generation Red Captain's outfit instead. To me, that's still more iconic Q. Messing around with the Starfleet crew, right? So cross fingers, we see him again. And I think we might, right? They've got the likeness, obviously, to John Delancey. Give him a couple of options. Cross fingers, EXO-6. I'm looking at you. What else do we got here, guys? Well, we're coming to the end here of the in-stock. This has been a divisive one. So this is the emergency medical hologram doctor from Star Trek Voyager. Now, those of you who have not watched Star Trek Voyager, like I mentioned earlier in the video, they get stranded in the Delta Quadrant, the ship, the cast or the crew of Star Trek Voyager. And their doctor dies in the first episode, their actual doctor. And so they need to initiate the emergency medical hologram, which is essentially just that. He is meant for emergencies only. If a doctor is not present and they have an emergency, they can activate this hologram doctor who can still treat patients. And in the first several seasons of Voyager, he doesn't have what's called his mobile emitter, and you can actually see that here. I was about to point at my screen. Right here, on his arm. Now, the mobile emitter allows the doctor to actually walk around the halls of the ships, whereas otherwise he would be trapped in sickbay, is kind of the doctor quarters, I want to call it, but it's called sickbay on the ship, because in there they have the holo emitters. He's either trapped there or he could go to the holodeck. Those are the only two places he could go. Once he got the mobile emitter on his arm, he was able to walk the ship, he was able to take command if he needed to. It really opened up the storyline for the actor, to be honest. But it's interesting that you can't remove this apparently from the figure itself. So it's kind of a later season representation of the Doctor. And I gotta say, the likeness is like a 7. I want to say a 7. It's good, but certainly not perfect. Do I know who this is supposed to be? Yes. But I'm a Star Trek fan, especially a Voyager fan, so of course I know who it is. I don't know if you'd be able to pick this guy out, though, otherwise, and identify the actor himself. So, I don't know. This is not a great figure representation in my opinion, I should say, on Voyager. And that seems to be kind of the issue that I'm seeing with the Voyager lineup so far, is that the likeness in those characters is kind of hit and miss. As I said, we saw Chakotay. I thought Chakotay was good. I thought Tuvok was really good. I don't love the Doctor, and I really don't like this next one. Of course, being Catherine Captain Janeway. It's so soft. It's so soft. And again, when I saw this figure released, it immediately shot in the foot my desire to collect all the captains. Because I don't like the figure. I don't think it looks good. You know, Catherine Janeway is one heck of a strong character. Like, one heck of a strong character. And this looks really soft to me, really plasticky, just doesn't... It doesn't look enough like Kate Mulgrew to make it worth the purchase. Now, even though her price is pretty reasonable, $189 plus 25 ship, it's not bad. But I probably wouldn't pay more than about $120 for this figure. It feels third party to me, despite it being an actual official release. I don't love it. And I know that there are some collectors out there who have shared some photos with me that have said, Ben, you're crazy, you're out to lunch, man, it looks good, you just got to get it in hand. And I think there's an element to that. I have characters in my collection who aren't perfect. The So-So Toys CW Flash, or the Scarlet Speedster. He's not perfect, but I love him because it's got some nostalgic value. The only reason I like this figure is because Voyager is nostalgic for me. That's the only reason. Otherwise, I think she looks really soft. So, I'm not going to stick on this one too long, but again, when we talk about the Voyager lineup, can you imagine having this full cast of Voyager crew, and half of them look great, and the other half are okay? It's disappointing. And in terms of QC or quality control, it seems to be that the Janeway has had some of the worst issues with snapping wrist pegs. Now, I'm sure she's using the same wrist pegs that other people are, but when you're trying to, slot that coffee mug in her hand, there's a good chance you're going to break the wrist peg, so just be real careful. Maybe have a hairdryer on hand to warm up that peg a little bit first before you mess with it too much, because again, you cannot just get a replacement wrist peg. You may have to actually send the figure back entirely. So, not something that you want to see. Now that ends the in-stock portion. Coming soon is really, really exciting. I'm not going to play the video. I don't want to, because I'm worried about copyright, but we are seeing an image here of T'Pol from Enterprise, and she was one of my favorite characters. Great Vulcan character, really strong female character as well. So I'm really happy about that, as well as the Borg Regeneration Cove. Of course, we're looking at likely getting more from the motion picture, most specifically, what have people been calling this guy? 70s Bones, or Dr. McCoy. He's got a beard, and honestly, in most of the seasons of the show, he doesn't have a beard, but he kind of looks like very 70s in this. I love it. I think it's going to look great. I have been able to secure a pre-order for Kolinahr Spock, as well as the Kirk. I shouldn't say a pre-order, I got a sale on them. So those will be coming to the Ben Thomas Show pretty soon, and I will do a review on them once I get them in hand, assuming they're in good condition. But the McCoy, if he comes, and I've got the other two, there's a good chance I'm going to get that guy as well. And then I do see, I forget what his name is now. Isn't that terrible? We hate to see it. Let's type it in here. Search for Spock. Krug. Hate to see it. Krug here in the background. Love to see it. He's from, of course, the movie Search for Spock, which is one of my favorite Star Trek movies, honestly, of all time. And he plays a really badass Klingon in that. And again, like I was talking about with Aliens earlier, I think that's going to be a sweet figure. I love the tailoring even on it. But that, I think, completes really the breakdown of 2022, what we saw pre-orders, what are in stock, and some of the teases for what's coming. In terms of the past, what's sold out now here, of course, we're seeing First Contact Data, which is my favorite Star Trek character. Just in general, I love Commander Data. And he's an amazing figure. I've got him in hand here in my Ben Thomas Show collection, and I freaking love it. Now, I am very excited. They have teased Commander Data from the Next Generation itself. Of course, he comes with an alternative head sculpt if you're able to get this guy in hand from that scene where he's getting human skin grafted to his head from the Borg Queen. Really, really cool scene. But again, he's no longer available here. You would have to go secondary market in order to pick this guy up, as well as the Captain Picard version from First Contact. So that completes that section today, guys. But let me know what your thoughts are on EXO-6 as a company. One thing that I will say that I'm kind of disappointed about with EXO-6 this year is what happened with some of their immediate releases. So that was the Kolinahr Spock and the James T. Kirk from the motion picture. Both of those figures sold out within about 3 hours of release through EXO-6's website, which is fine. That's just the nature of collecting these days. You need to be ready. And I'm going to do my best here on the Ben Thomas Show to keep you guys connected to what is coming so that you can be ready for some of those immediate purchases. But one thing that Nanjin, or again the developer, has said is that there are no replacement parts for these guys. There's no replacement figures. They're gone. The molds have been destroyed. That is it. What has been sold is what's sold. That's what's available in the market. And that's it. If you break your figure, if he arrives with a QC issue, you can send it back and get your money back, but you're not going to get a replacement figure. There just aren't any available. And I think that isn't great business from EXO-6. I think that's something that I hope that they change in the future. I think every figure company should have a couple in their warehouse that can be broken down for replacement parts for collectors. I like having something that's rare in my collection. I like the fact that they've said once these are made, that's it, but they never gave us an edition size on these figures. So it wasn't like they said there's only going to be 500 worldwide and then they're gone. We never got an edition size. So all we knew as collectors was that, boom, they were sold out, gone. Well, great. I hadn't even made it home from work yet and I missed it. So, like, that's not a great collecting experience, in my opinion. At least state when the pre-order is going to go up 100%, what the edition size will be, and then still, in my opinion, have a few in your warehouse that can be broken down for QC issues. because I think that will take EXO-6 to the next level. I also really hope that they don't keep pushing out releases so quickly that the quality is reduced. And I say that partially because of my conversation around Voyager. Again, we've had some really great Voyager figures and some ones that were really soft and not great, in my opinion. It's not all about my opinion, but I want to see great figures across the board. If you're a completionist Star Trek collector, you're going to want quality items in your collection, or it may make you second guess sticking with EXO-6 as a company in the future. Now, Nanjin has also said he's only got 3 years in him, so what we see in 3 years will remain to be seen, of course, but we're down a whole year so far. So this is the recap, New Year's Eve recap, or it's not New Year's Eve, I guess, but it's the New Year recap of 2022 EXO-6 figures. I've loved a lot of them. I've got a few coming to me and the Ben Thomas Show collection that I will review once I get them in hand, like I mentioned. But I'm excited to see what 2023 brings. Happy New Year to everybody who stuck around and watched the stream this long. This is the first time I've ever tried streaming on StreamYard. It's a little awkward because I feel like I talked to myself this whole time. So I would love to hear you guys down in the comments, guys and gals, let's be honest, Star Trek fans are everywhere. I'd love to hear from you folks down in the comments below. What were your thoughts on EXO-6 in 2022? What are you most excited for in 2023? I gotta say, Locutus is probably my most anticipated. I'm really excited about that figure, but I'd love to hear from you guys more. Don't make me feel like I talk to myself. I can't wait to hear from you guys. But if you like the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching, everybody.